This is Common Ground, the podcast.
All right. Welcome back to Common Ground. I'm Mark, of course, joined here with Derek, Drew, and Lou. How are you guys doing today?
Living the dream on this yacht, baby. Let's do
I see
it.
you're on a boat.
On a boat. That's why,
Hey, dreams can come true, man. That's great, bro. I'm proud of
that's
you.
why I've been MIA, man. I've been living on this boat, man. It's a lonely life being successful, but
If I
one
could,
day
I
y'all
would
get
too.
there.
Except I wouldn't be
No
as dressed
diddy.
as you are. I'd be naked. Well, perfect.
What are
Well,
we talking today, sir?
I think we got some good topics to talk about. You know, it's been a while, and we haven't been in a group together. So let's talk about the presidential race for 2024. And we've had some big things happen. We had the attempted assassination of Donald Trump. We had Joe Biden getting out of the race. Kamala Harris picking her new vice president running mate. So where are we at? Where's your minds at? Who wants to take the topic and run?
Well, I'll go ahead and jump in. There's been a lot of hearsay about the Trump assassination. Was it self-proclaimed or the assassinator? He was a Republican, but he was against Trump. I think people who go as far as trying to assassinate a president to that degree, they're just crazy altogether. I don't think they have. Uh, I don't think they have it all upstairs. You know. And it's unfortunate because, it shouldn't come to that. Whatever your feelings are to a certain side of the aisle, you shouldn't have to come to, killing somebody over it.
No, I'm with you. I mean, like any kind of crazy major event, I mean, like 9/11, the Sandy Hook shooting, these major events, you get crazy people coming out with all kinds of conspiracies. I mean, look, Lee Harvey Oswald, 1963, we still talk about it today, and whether he was the one that shot the bullet or not, or shot the gun or not, and killed JFK. But at the end of the day, these folks they're just messed up, right? They're just crazy. And whether he was a Trump supporter, which is kind of weird, or not, I think he has his own motivations at the end of the day to become some kind of famous.
Martyr.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll jump in there, speaking about, the guy itself, and I don't know if you guys heard or not, but he had a bunch of other politicians that he was targeting. It wasn't Trump, and one of the prevailing theories I heard is that it was just a matter of convenience for him. He was going to take out somebody. It just happened that Trump was in the proximity of where he was living.
Yep. And it's crazy because that attempted assassination gave Donald Trump a big boost in the polls, right? Massive, and then almost to the point he felt like, okay, I'm going to win this thing. I'm going to pick a VP that is probably more on my level and doesn't really have to appeal to more of a broader crowd. And then next fall, Joe Biden's like, yeah, I'm going to step out of the race. So that was kind of crazy. And that's something we haven't seen since Lyndon B. Johnson was probably the last example of that happening, where a current president decides not to run.
Yeah, it's just funny you say that, though, because, on one hand, yes, the attempted assassination did happen. But then, it's amazing how quickly he took advantage of it as far as with the publicity. And I think that's why a lot of people thought, like, well, is there a conspiracy behind it? Because who wouldn't take advantage of that? I mean, goodness, did he not drop his next shoe after that? And, on top of that, just all the posters and the memes and the shirts. But like you said, Mark, it's a great way to, to publicize yourself, to actually put yourself out there even more, to basically just boost up in the ratings either way.
I tell you what, though, I watched a couple of YouTube videos out there that gun enthusiasts will take the exact type of gun that the shooter used, put like a watermelon up and put like a fake ear on it, and then try and shoot it from that distance. And these guys are like professional, and they said it's so hard to just shoot a stationary target that small. So I find that theory that it was done on purpose to like nick his ear just a little bit, just to give him that street cred. I find that hard to believe.
Yeah. There's a lot of ways to look at it, yeah.
No, I was going to jump in for a second. I think the one thing that I bothers me about the whole situation is like you said Lou, you know it seemed like he was taking advantage of it. He's got he had the photo and all that stuff. What really stuck to me though was the fact that he didn't call the victim. There's someone that died during this situation, and he didn't call the victim. Joe Biden did. The president did, and the woman, the now widow, didn't take the call. And I think that really speaks to what's wrong with our political atmosphere today. Is you have the president of the United States, regardless of your Republican, Democrat, Independent, whatever. A tragedy happened. Your husband, who was a firefighter, passed away because someone killed him. And this is a national tragedy. Someone tried to assassinate a former president. And the current president, Joe Biden, gives you a call and you don't take the call because, quote, your husband wouldn't want you to take the call.
Yeah.
To me, regardless of how I feel about, a political party, if the president personally calls me, I'm gonna take that call.
Yeah.
Because beyond political affiliations, we're all Americans and we're all people. And that was not you know, hey, I'm trying to gain support. He knew, the background, he knew he was leaving the race. So this was nothing politicized. This was like, hey, as a human being, I'm calling you to say, hey, my thoughts are with you because I'm a leader.
Yeah.
And that's what spoke to me too was the next morning Trump's golfing. We can go into the debate of Trump or whatever, but to me, a leader takes responsibility, and Joe Biden showed leadership by giving
Well,
that call.
but from what I've heard, though, Drew, there were some. Now it could have been in happenstance because of what you're saying. That there were some like Twitters and stuff out there of President Trump saying like his condolences, blah blah blah. But it could be like you said in hindsight, because of the aftermath and realizing that Biden beat him to the punch kind of thing.
It could have
Well,
been, but
Trump
go-
did have a speech where he had honored the fallen victim that was at the
In the race, yeah.
that did
Yeah.
die.
I thought. Sorry, Derek. Didn't mean to cut you off. I thought it was crazy the golfing the next day. Imagine your life being that close to dying, and
Yeah.
you go golfing. But I'm with you on the political aspect of, like, I respect the office regardless of who's in it.
right.
So if I was
Right.
ever to be invited, regardless if it was Trump, Obama, Biden, Kamala, whoever's the president, I'd accept the invitation because I respect
Right.
the office more than the individual, and it would be a great honor to be invited or to have that kind of conversation. But I know they did raise for the family of the father that died and the two other individuals. They raised, I think, like it was like $10 million within a week through GoFundMe. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there was some positives to it, yeah.
Yeah.
So the assassination happens next week. The Republican National Convention, Trump announces J.D. Vance as his running mate, right? That following Sunday after the convention, Biden decides to dip out, right? And then now we got Kamala Harris. Let me ask you guys a question, and I'll give you my opinion after you answer it if you want. But what do you think about the fact that Kamala was kind of, hey, this is your Democratic nominee now, we're going to run with it, versus some kind of option to say, okay, well, give people a chance to vote for who they want to represent them?
That's a good question. Well, I
Well,
think everyone agrees. Okay.
oh, go ahead, Louis.
Oh no, I was just gonna say that like it's funny you say or you ask that question, Mark, because I believe that all of us have a different way of approaching that question. I'll say it on the behalf of like on my beliefs, if you will. And it's nothing against Kamala Harris. It's that just from what I've known, just from a spiritual standpoint, and just when it comes to leadership, I'm not trying to play the card of feminists and etc. But there's a lot going on here. This could be the first, female president. This could be so many different things. But at the same time, it's just already obvious that a lot of the decisions that she's making is from a feeling standpoint and not a logical standpoint. And we can dissect that in so many different ways from a biblical aspect.
Yeah, I just think it's interesting. I mean, it's hard to understand. I mean, like, how would you even have that process of nominating somebody so quickly, right? I mean, I know there's a time crunch. When it happened, there was only like 110 days till the election. So how do you make that decision to put a nominee up? Derek, were you going to say something?
Yeah, it was just kind of rushed, but I mean, I don't think Joe Biden was going to have a stand a chance this go around, especially with the economy being in the way it is and inflation still, high as it is. So what really happened is the money. They took the money away from him so he couldn't advertise, so he couldn't, get advertisement dollars, and then they were like, well, who are we going to replace him with? So
Basically,
it was naturally Kamala because I mean she's next in line. But I feel like it's all a setup, kind of. It feels like I'm on a TV show, like a scandal or something.
No, I understand that.
Yeah,
Well,
I know you're gonna.
she raised like $300 million in like what, the first week?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I know
that
Drew's
campaign
gonna
money was
probably say
going away when
something.
it was Biden. And it's funny
Yeah,
they
I know
brought it
Drew's
back.
gonna say something, but I'm sorry to cut you off, Mark. I was just gonna say that, like, if you think about it, after they had the what was it, the Republican tour, if you will, that pretty much showed that he didn't stand a chance. I mean, you had like even Hulk Hogan over here hulking out saying, "Well, you're trying to kill my president." Yeah, like basically when you have every facet of like superstars and wrestlers and political backgrounds, everyone's now on the same page. Yeah, I think Biden was like, "Damn, what are we going to do to try to at least stay relevant?"
What do you think about that female singer? Was it China? Oh man, I'm drawing a blank on her name. Oh boy.
Hey, well, guys.
While you're thinking about that,
Yeah, go ahead.
let me jump in. I've got a totally different viewpoint from you guys. I think, first and foremost, even if Biden would have stayed in, I think he would have won.
You think so?
What we remember, and this is what we need to remember is this is somebody who tried to subvert an election process. We're in a state where he literally called the Secretary of State, the person in charge of elections, and said, "Hey, by the way, can you find me 11,000 votes?" And thank God, we have Republicans in this state that actually have a backbone that said, "No, no, that's not going to happen." And even today, I don't know if you saw the news, but today they're still going back and saying, "Hey, they just in Fulton County, they just said that they're going to reinvestigate." And the head of the elections board, who is a Republican, by the way, selected by Brian Kemp, had said this is just wasting taxpayer dollars. So, say all that to say, there's undecided voters that saw what happened when Trump lost an election. I'm from DC. Let me put that out there. I'm really from DC. And they tried to run up into my city and overtake our government, and they literally tried to kill Mike Pence. They threatened to kill Mike Pence. You talk about JD Vance. The reason why he has to get a new running mate is because they literally tried to kill Mike Pence. So if I live in a country where the guy running for office tried to steal the election, his supporters tried to overthrow our constitutional process to, have a smooth transition to Joe Biden as new president, as elected president. And then his supporters threatened to kill Mike Pence, as well as Trump, disappointed in Mike Pence that he followed the Constitution. I think we have a subset of voters that are like, hey, I remember what happened in 2020. Um, but to go into your Kamala, Harris, could we have had a electoral process? Yeah, but I think she would have won anyway. She's the vice president. She was on the ticket that won the election.
Right.
So for me, I'm fine with Kamala. I think she's a intelligent woman. I think she's smart. And for me, from what I see from the Republican Party, they are fearful of a woman with power and a woman with intelligence because they're not used to that. So, I think this is going to make the election what we should have, which is, two people running that are the best option for our country, and we'll see what happens.
Well,
Drew, I think you have some valid points with that, but I think America has a short memory, when it comes to
They may
the
have.
economy
They
and
may have.
and that's why we vote because nobody really knows what's going to happen at the end of
Right.
the day.
Yep.
Right.
But America, I've always, as you go along, they have a short memory when it comes to these things, and it's all about what can you do for me now.
But the one thing, sorry to cut you off. The one thing I want to point out, and I've been pointing out to a lot of people, is let's go back to the primaries. I mean the midterm elections, right? 2 years into Joe Biden's presidency, inflation was super high, gas prices super high, groceries super high, everything was high, and there's supposed to be this red wave. Joe Biden added seats in the Senate. That hasn't happened in 100 years. Obama didn't do it. George Bush didn't do it. Clinton didn't do it. Not Obama, sorry. Joe Biden added seats to the lead in the Senate for the Democrats. That hasn't happened. So what that tells me is, those that support Donald Trump are going to support Donald Trump. Those that support Joe Biden are going to support Joe Biden or Kamala Harris. Now it's the undecided voters that's going to make this election like they did last year in the last election. But we saw in midterms that we didn't see a red wave. We didn't see the Republicans take both the House and the Senate.
All right, guys. Well, look, we got less than 90 days. I'm
Leading
sure.
the House, but
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're good. You're good. You're good.
I was just gonna say we got less than 90 days. I'm sure this is gonna be a topic we talk about again. I mean, it's,
Right.
Oh yeah, for sure. Part 2, 3, 4.
For sure.
That's right. So before I let you go, her name was Black China. That's who I was trying to think of. She was at the Republican National Convention. I thought that was an interesting person to have there.
Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna have to dissect this again because wasn't there someone doing like a twerk session for the Democratic Party too? But that's another topic for another time.
Another topic for another time.
All right, gentlemen, you take care. It's been fun. Have a good one.
Peace.